If you're a fan of deep, plot-heavy storytelling like Gravity Falls or Steven Universe, okay KO, Let's Be Heroes might surprise you. The show takes a lighter, more laid-back approach to its story arcs, though when they hit, they're absolutely amazing. What makes this show stand out is its refreshing throwback to simpler times. Each episode feels like its own fun, self-contained adventure, packed with humor and clever nods to anime, cartoons, and classic video games. Despite its lighthearted vibe, the show delivers some of the best character interactions in modern cartoons, with natural character growth and meaningful dynamics that don't rely on toxic drama. However, before we start, let's set some context for better understanding of the story. Set in the retro-futuristic year of 2010X, OKKO, Let's Be Heroes follows KO, a young boy determined to become the world's greatest hero. He works at Gar's Bodega, a hero supply shop run by Mr. Gar, located in Lakewood Plaza Turbo. Alongside him are his best friends, Radicals, a self-absorbed alien, and Enid, a sensible ninja who acts like a big sister. Together with other heroes in the area, they take on adventures and challenges in their quest to save the day. KO eagerly looks over his hero card collection as his mom, Carol, prepares to take him to her dojo at Lakewood Plaza Turbo. On the way, they witness his babysitter punching Judy, fighting a villain called the Flu. KO expresses his excitement about becoming a hero, while Carol explains that even legendary heroes like Mr. Gar started from the bottom. When they arrive, KO admires Mr. Gar as he assigns tasks to Radicals and Enid. Carol greets Mr. Gar, who flusters in response before she takes KO into her fitness dojo. There, Carol's students become distracted by KO, so she regains their attention by breaking a plank. Carol sends KO on an errand to buy more planks with her credit card, allowing him a small treat for himself. KO heads to Gar's Bodega, where he sees heroes like Sparko, Shy Ninja, Nick Army, and Joff, admiring them before going inside. He picks up a laser sword, flame gauntlets, and a bottom towel, using it as a cape. After tripping, KO meets Radicals, and they introduce themselves. KO asks about lightning nachos, which Radicals makes for him. Radicals then brags about being a level 2 hero, showing KO 2 photos that supposedly prove his heroism, though they're fake. KO believes them, even when Radicals accidentally shows a photo of his cat, leading to an embarrassed Radicals fleeing. KO still thinks he's cool. At the checkout, KO meets Enid and shares his dream of becoming a hero before leaving with his purchases. KO steps outside when a siren goes off, signaling Lord Boxman's robot, Daryl, attacking Lakewood Plaza Turbo. KO tries to fight but is knocked out instantly. In a hallucination, he imagines defeating the robot, only to wake up and be shown his failure by a real magic skeleton. As Enid and Radicals continue battling Daryl, KO begins to understand how far he is from being the hero he dreams of becoming. Mr. Gar arrives, finishing off the robot by sending its head back to Boxman's factory. Afterward, Mr. Gar orders Enid and Radicals back to work. Realizing his inexperience, KO decides to work at Lakewood Plaza Turbo, determined to take it one step at a time on his journey to becoming a hero. KO enthusiastically rambles about Rad's and Enid's previous battle with Daryl, expressing his dream of becoming a hero. Enid explains that becoming a hero requires hard work, and that Mr. Gar trains them to fight Boxmore robots, built by Lord Boxman, who sends them to destroy the plaza. KO is shocked by this revelation. Meanwhile, Lord Boxman, disgusted by the trio's growing bond, is furious when Daryl's head crashes through his window. Boxman admits he sends his robots to destroy friendships, as he despises them. He vents his anger after being informed by an Ernesto bot that friendship lowers his sales. After melting Daryl, a new version of him appears, and Shannon proposes a new plan to attack the plaza. Back at the bodega, KO annoys Rad with questions about heroism, but Rad and Enid explain that it's not as easy as KO thinks. Despite KO's eagerness to help, his attempts lead to them getting hurt, causing Rad and Enid to turn him down. A dejected KO, still yearning to be a hero, is tricked by a disguised Shannon into infiltrating Boxmore. Meanwhile, Rad and Enid search for KO and spot Shannon as well. KO sneaks into Boxmore, only to be captured by Lord Boxman. Boxman manipulates KO, convincing him that Rad and Enid dislike him and never want to be friends. Rad and Enid storm through Boxmoor, defeating Shannon to rescue KO. Boxman, hoping to validate his lies, frees KO to witness their supposed disdain. However, Rad and Enid express that they genuinely like having KO around, affirming their friendship, much to Boxman's distress and KO's joy. Back at the bodega, Mr. Gar reprimands Rad and Enid for leaving their posts. Despite their recommendation, Gar refuses to hire KO until Carol convinces him, nervously, to give KO the job. Enid gives KO a vest, and KO excitedly delivers a power punch, impressing Rad and Enid. KO excitedly begins his first day at the bodega, but quickly realizes he needs to focus on helping others. As he hypes himself up with an intense pose, he accidentally punches Joe Cuppa in the stomach, really hard. Inside the bodega, Enid deals with an overwhelming line of customers, and, in frustration, closes the lane. With everyone gone, KO eagerly reports for duty, and Enid assigns him his first task, cleaning the store. KO dives in, equipping himself with various cleaning tools. After finishing, Enid gives him another task, sorting the penny dish. When KO expresses his love for helping, Enid dismisses it as too much work, too little payoff. Determined to change her mind, KO finds Joff and Nick Army arguing over how to open a pickle jar and helps resolve their issue by suggesting they try both methods. Afterward, KO rushes to respond to another call for help at the hair salon. KO finds Mr. Logic in distress after botching a customer's haircut by 20%. KO suggests giving the customer another haircut while cleaning up the floor and placing the hair under Mr. Logic, which results in a successful haircut. The customer thanks KO, who excitedly announces his success through a megaphone, hoping Enid hears him. He then rushes to the frame store after hearing another cry for help. There, KO discovers a real magic skeleton and Brandon arguing because Brandon's drumming is distracting Arms. KO solves the issue by placing a giant display case around Brandon to block the noise. Arms thanks him, and KO continues his quest to help others. However, when he offers assistance to Red Action's crew, she tricks him into walking backward into a lava-filled hole, posting the embarrassing moment online. Enid sees KO, burned and humiliated, in his underwear. After KO's embarrassing mishap with Red Action, Enid asks what happened, and KO explains that they were laughing with him. Enid reveals the truth by showing KO a social media post of the incident, explaining that they were actually laughing at him. When KO asks why Red Action's crew is mean, Enid mentions it's likely because Red Action had a bad haircut recently. Realizing that Red Action may be taking out her frustration on others, KO decides to help her. He confronts the teens again and insists on helping, even though they laugh at him. KO takes Red Action to Mr. Logic, who fixes her hair perfectly, making her happy. He then compliments Droop on her fashion sense, leading Joff and Nick to wear outfits based on her advice. Finally, he boosts Greg's confidence by framing their valedictorian certificate. Despite Red Action finding KO's helping style weird, KO heads back to the bodega, where Greg thanks him. Enid, seeing the positive impact KO had, admits that helping others seems rewarding, and the two share a laugh. KO and Enid watch as Rad amusingly debates with his muscles over who is more attractive, but their fun is interrupted when Mr. Gar sternly orders Rad to unpack a box. To their surprise, the box contains Mr. Gar himself. After tossing some cat food for Enid to scan, Mr. Gar pressures her to finish the task quickly and instructs KO to help him get to his car, warning them not to disappoint him. KO carries Mr. Gar to his vehicle, and Mr. Gar soon returns to the store to congratulate them on completing their duties. Suddenly, Mr. Gar is alerted to a top-secret mission, leaving the bodegaman in charge with strict instructions not to enter his office. Despite initial reluctance, KO suggests they could understand Mr. Gar better if they peek inside. Inside the office, they discover surveillance monitors and personal photos, including one of Carol from her past. When Mr. Gar returns, the trio panics. In their scramble, Rad accidentally blasts the picture of Carol. Fearing Mr. Gar's reaction, KO suggests confessing, but they imagine his severe disappointment. Instead, KO proposes that Rad and Enid distract Mr. Gar while they recreate the destroyed photo with Carol's help. Enid and Rad plan a distraction for Mr. Gar, showcasing their new dance to keep him occupied. Meanwhile, KO sneaks into the fitness dojo through the vents and confides in Carol about their predicament. Remembering her own experiences with Mr. Gar, Carol agrees to help KO. Back at the bodega, Mr. Gar rates their performance a 7.5. Before heading to his office, Enid informs him about someone reading a magazine for free. At the dojo, Carol finds an old outfit and suggests KO wear it since it wouldn't fit her. Back at the bodega, Mr. Gar tosses out Crinkly Wrinkly for the same reason. Rad distracts Mr. Gar by pretending to forget how to mop, while Carol takes a picture of KO in her outfit. KO scurries back through the vents with the photo, but Mr. Gar catches wind of his presence. As Mr. Gar enters his office, he finds Enid, Rad, and KO near the pictures. KO confesses their actions, leading to Mr. Gar's disappointment. Just then, Carol enters with a copy of the photo, prompting Mr. Gar to leave embarrassed for threatening the bodegaman. He agrees to keep the incident quiet and safely stores away the picture of Carol as they exit the office together. KO, Rad, and Enid start an impromptu hoedown, but Enid and Rad feel disappointed by KO's ending. An alarm sounds, leading them to confront a small Jethro, which Enid and Rad dismiss. KO defeats the small Jethro but faces more as they appear. The real threat emerges when a large Jethro arrives, crushing Brandon's mom's car. KO, feeling overwhelmed, questions his value, but he ultimately dismantles the Mega Jethro with a light touch. Eager to prove Rad wrong, KO returns to the bodega, while Rad demonstrates that Jethros only move in a straight line. Just then, the ground shakes as the Mega Jethro approaches again, leaving the heroes at Lakewood Plaza Turbo terrified. Enid leaves the fight against Mega Jethro, while Rad reluctantly joins KO to prove him wrong. KO attempts to reason with the Mega Jethro, but Rad injures his hand with a power punch. Frustrated, Rad wonders why the Jethro isn't defeated yet. KO suggests they get inside the Mega Jethro, while Enid tunes out by listening to music. They run around to access its pupil, but Rad's hand gets crushed. Inside, they discover a lever and light bulb. Rad impulsively pulls the lever, causing Mega Jethro to reverse direction and back up towards Boxmore. Lord Boxman is splashed with tea and watches in shock as Mega Jethro collides with the building, causing an explosion. KO acknowledges Rad's insight, and Rad praises KO's potential. KO finishes cleaning the floor under Rad's supervision, but Rad criticizes him for not being heroic enough. KO checks the POW card machine to see if his card is ready after a week of heroic deeds, but it malfunctions. Rad teaches KO to punch the machine, and KO finally receives his POW card, showing he has reached level 100. Enid, Rad, and the other heroes admire his achievement. Dynamite Watkins and Action News 52 cover KO's story, and he signs autographs for fans, including Lord Boxman, who doubts KO's abilities. To challenge him, Boxman unleashes a giant-sized Daryl with a negative 100 level. Despite Enid and Rad's concerns, KO confidently accepts the challenge, believing he can defeat Big Daryl. KO starts the fight against Big Daryl but is quickly flicked to the ground. Angered by his initial defeat, he attempts another attack, but Big Daryl uses KO to write "Get Wrecked" on the parking lot. Confused by his inability to defeat Big Daryl, KO checks his POW card, only to have it snatched and tossed aside by Big Daryl, revealing his true level to be 0. Feeling dejected, KO considers backing out, but Enid and Rad jump in to help, only to be brushed away by Big Daryl. Red Action destroys KO's autograph, and a real magic skeleton offers to give it away. The Plaza heroes band together to form a giant arm for KO, allowing him to defeat Big Daryl in one powerful hit. Lord Boxman, now defeated, flees to Boxmore. KO feels grateful for his friend's support, and to his surprise, his POW card level rises to 0.1. While Rad prepares to remind KO that power levels aren't everything, Enid encourages KO to celebrate his achievement. KO happily walks to Gar's Hero Supply and Bodega after school, singing along the way. He notices a mysterious figure lurking around Lakewood Plaza Turbo and sets out to investigate. Initially thinking he's being stalked by tiny dinosaurs, he discovers it's Dendy. She points out that KO remains unfazed by his surroundings, recalling how they bonded over a tow truck after their class field trip to the zoo. Dendy asks for KO's help, and he eagerly agrees. She shows him her hack pack, which needs repairs. Their first stop is Logic Cuts, where they seek a dilation circuit. Although Mr. Logic refuses to assist, he offers free haircuts. Dendy notices Mr. Logic's advanced hair clippers and smashes them to extract the circuit, optimizing the clippers in the process. Next, they head to the Neo-Rama Game Center to find a disc-shaped copper pewter alloy. KO rummages through his pockets for a coin but accidentally releases a swarm of moths. While he chases after them, Dendy cleverly rewires the token machine to dispense tokens for the alloy. Dendy informs KO that they need to find a glorb, suggesting they tear apart Mr. Logic's structure. KO hesitates, proposing they check the alley where the bodegamen discard faulty robots instead. Dendy, sharing her familiarity with glorbs, insists that once they find it, that will be it. KO playfully counters, asking how that can be the case when she's the one who is it. They dash through the parking lot, but KO accidentally crashes into the alley gate, allowing Dendy to tag him back. Climbing over, KO discovers a glowing orb attached to a junkfish, which slowly activates and attempts to swallow him. Inside, KO punches his way through, injuring himself while Dendy types notes on his behavior. Concerned he might not escape, KO asks Dendy to draft a will, and she reveals she has a collection of POW cards, hinting at trading. Dendy eventually hacks the junkfish to expel KO, and admits her quest was a ruse to befriend him. KO expresses his enjoyment of their adventure and invites her to check out his POW card collection later. Thrilled to find out Dendy has a Professor Venomous POW card, they conclude by playing another round of tag, with Dendy adding herself to KO's list of allies. KO carefully examines the water from the mop and cleans the floor, feeling accomplished as he reads a book on becoming a hero. Enid compliments his work while munching on nachos, despite having made a mess herself. Just as KO begins mopping again, a shadow looms over him, causing him to crash into a can display. Rad, waking from his nap in a box, watches as KO picks up the cans, only for the can wizard to pop out unexpectedly. Mistaking the can wizard for the great sage from his book, KO eagerly approaches him. However, the can wizard slips and calls for help, leading to an accidental collision that causes an explosion. KO believes he has saved the great sage, but the can wizard, furious, hits him with a cane. Misunderstanding the situation, KO vows to seek more opportunities to grow as a hero, while the can wizard leaves, dismissing KO as just another young hero. Meanwhile, Dynamite Watkins reports on a clash between Ted Viking and Big Bull Demon, transitioning to a local news segment featuring Enid, Rad, and KO from Gar's Hero Supply and Bodega. During a news segment, Rad recounts a story about a thief who tried to steal a giant bag of money from the bodega, but bumped into him instead. Rad punches the thief, and while Dynamite Watkins finds the story amusing, Enid offers her version, claiming she set a ninja shadow trap to catch the thief, only for Rad to finish him off. After a brief argument over credit, KO takes the mic to assert he tied up the thief, shocking everyone. Enid explains the bodega's destruction was due to a juggling contest involving bombs, leading to an explosive mishap. The report shifts to Lord Boxman at Boxmoor, where he introduces a Daryl robot intended to destroy the bodegamen. After multiple failed attempts and quick defeats by the bodegamen, Lord Boxman becomes frustrated. He decides to upgrade the Daryl with a box, but when the bodegamen attack, it also gets defeated. Ultimately, Lord Boxman skips to the climax, unleashing a giant Daryl, which the bodegamen successfully battle, leading to an even bigger explosion that amuses them. Lord Boxman, furious, throws multiple controls on the ground, causing more Daryls to emerge, including another giant Daryl, signaling the end of the video recording. Rad calls for KO to catch a can he throws, but it goes through KO's hair and crashes into one of Mr. Gar's display stands. Enid contacts Mr. Gar, who claims to be on a top-secret mission. KO apologizes for the damage, and Mr. Gar reassures them he has spare displays and instructs them to clean up the mess. Curious about Mr. Gar's mission, Enid calls again, but gets an angry response. KO sweet-talks Mr. Gar into revealing that they shouldn't call unless it's urgent. Enid then reports they've run out of ice cream, prompting Mr. Gar to drop a large package of ice cream and fix the broken roof. Frustrated, he steps away from his mission, revealing he was actually playing Duck Stack. Mr. Gar, upset about losing his last life in the game, tells the bodegaman to get back to work. KO plays Duck Stack as Enid and Rad argue about Rad dropping a package. They each claim they could do the other's job better and decide to switch roles. While Rad naps behind the counter, a customer asks to use a coupon on a different product, but Rad dismisses him. Another customer requests different bananas, and Rad carelessly tosses out a disfigured customer. When a third customer wants to pay in pennies, Rad lifts him, only to be overwhelmed by more customers. Meanwhile, Enid struggles with Rad's job, growing tired of lifting heavy boxes. After pushing a button, she discovers an endless load of packages. Later, in the break room, both Enid and Rad express their frustrations and realize their jobs are equally difficult. They make amends, acknowledging they're better suited for their own tasks. Meanwhile, KO triumphs in his Duck Stack game. Enid performs tricks with KO, who is shaped like a ball. When customers arrive, she deftly checks them out while bouncing KO around. Wally the White approaches the counter, rambling about his younger days, but Enid tunes him out. She kicks KO towards the hot dog machine, sending ingredients flying into the bun she's holding. After executing her hands-free hot dog trick, she finally acknowledges Wally, who is upset about being ignored. Enid sarcastically hands him KO and quips, "See, he manages to survive when someone isn't paying attention to him for 5 seconds." In a fit of anger, Wally uses magic effects and vanishes. KO worries that Wally now thinks Enid is mean, but he believes she's not. Enid expresses that she doesn't expect anyone to understand her, not even KO. Determined to change that, KO cleans up the mess Wally made while Enid lies on the counter. The next day, KO discovers that Enid has turned to stone while still on the counter. He rushes to get help from Mr. Gar and Radicals, but they can't see that Enid is petrified. Realizing he's the only one who can save her, KO decides to enlist Dendy's help. Dendy examines Enid and determines she is made of soapstone but cannot restore her, leaving KO distraught. Just as he mourns his inability to save her, Enid unexpectedly returns to flesh. However, Wally the Wizard reappears and turns her back into stone, carrying her away. KO pursues Wally, overcoming various magical obstacles. Meanwhile, Rad, Mr. Gar, and Dendy wonder where KO and Enid have gone. Wally seeks refuge at Carol's dojo, where KO explains the situation. Carol assures Wally she'll handle it and uses Kicky Ball KO to confront him. Enid breaks free from her stone form and stands up to Wally, blasting him with fire and telling him he's a coward and a jerk. Once Wally flees, KO worries that Wally will see Enid as mean, but Enid reassures him, emphasizing that she doesn't expect everyone to understand her like he does. Radicals shows KO various false facts about the bodega, confidently declaring, "I know everything." He claims the bodega is named after Mr. Gar, much to Enid's annoyance. When Fish Dude asks Rad about super shaving cream, KO and Enid join him in the back to see Rad embarrass himself. In the stockroom, Rad leads them to stairs but insists on taking an old lift, which Enid warns him against. The lift breaks, but Enid saves them from a collapse. They wander through the maze-like stockroom, but Rad continually gets them lost. Enid finds Gloops and pokes one, causing it to disintegrate her stick, leading her to scold Rad. They encounter a cloaked figure named Gary, who fails to intimidate them. In a dark room, a flashlight turns into a mimic and attacks, but Enid brightens the room, causing it to flee. Rad mistakenly believes an Egyptian room is a bathroom, triggering chaos with Ms. Mummy and the Glorb Sanctuary, leaving them hopelessly lost as Enid grows increasingly frustrated. Enid, furious with Rad for leading them astray, grabs him by his shirt and takes charge, leaving him behind as she drags KO along. They soon find another map, but it's another mimic that attacks them. After defeating it, they escape but find themselves in another room, leading Enid to despair that they'll never find their way out. KO tries to reassure her, but Enid stresses that everyone has flaws, including Rad, urging KO to see Rad for who he really is. Just then, Rad appears, apologizing for his mistakes and presenting them with a map, but KO and Enid notice a second Rad with obnoxious behavior, realizing one is a mimic. Enid encourages KO to discern the real Rad, and after some reflection he identifies the bad Rad, causing the mimic to revert and attack. They defeat it, and as Rad brags about knowing everything, KO challenges him, pointing out that he wouldn't have gotten them lost if that were true. They finally escape the back to find Fish Dude asking for super shaving cream, but they realize they forgot it. KO manages to retrieve a can, only for it to turn out to be a mimic, launching another attack. Daryl vandalizes the Lakewood Plaza Turbo sign, but he's confronted by KO, Radicals, Enid, and Mr. Gar. A brief fight ensues, with Gar easily defeating Daryl, impressing the others. Afterward, Gar leaves on a secret mission, prompting KO to reminisce about how amazing he thought Gar was on his first day. Rad then brags about his own impressive experience, leading to a flashback of his interview with Gar, where he confidently states, "My greatest strength is my own strength." Although initially unimpressed, Gar's attention shifts when an alarm sounds, signaling Shannon's attack. Gar uses this opportunity to test Rad, who gets knocked away but reveals his family's levitation beam power. With Gar's encouragement, they defeat Shannon together. In the present, Rad boasts about his lesson from Gar on pride in his powers, but Enid quips that it only made him more conceited. Meanwhile, Enid, already employed, faces a disgruntled skateboard nerd seeking wheel polish, which is out of stock. Gar arrives to address the situation. As Enid tries to explain the situation with skateboard nerd, Mr. Gar abruptly picks him up, yelling that they're out of wheel polish and thanking him for shopping at Gar's. Shocked, Enid is then instructed to literally kick skateboard nerd out of the plaza. Gar emphasizes, "The counter is power, own it." In the present, Enid reflects on how Gar helped her become her apathetic self. Suddenly, Crinkly Wrinkly bursts in, claiming they know nothing about Mr. Gar, and begins narrating a fantastical story. According to him, Gar and his robot friend Plazamo lived among the clouds, where they created Lakewood Plaza Turbo. After reshaping the land and spitting out the plaza's sign, Gar encounters a young Lord Boxman, leading to a fight that sees Boxman blasted to what is now Boxmoor. KO is amazed by the story, but Enid and Rad dismiss it. Enid warns KO not to believe Crinkly Wrinkly, who talks to his own reflection. Just then, Mr. Gar appears, confirming the story's truth before slamming the ground to send his employees back to work. Satisfied, he heads to his office. KO, Enid, and Rad find themselves suspended over a pool of lava as Lord Boxman explains his evil plan. However, he's constantly interrupted by a timer and then by his watch, causing him to run off twice, leaving the trio hanging. KO expresses concern, but Enid and Rad, accustomed to such predicaments, reassure him. The smell of burning chicken prompts Lord Boxman to retrieve the charred remains from the oven, and he tries to disguise the ashes as dinner. When the doorbell rings, Boxman hurriedly changes into formal attire to greet Professor Venomous and his minion, Fink. Venomous halts Boxman's attempt to hug him and takes off his coat, which Fink offers to hold. Hearing the trio's cries for help, Boxman dashes back but is stopped by Daryl and Shannon. He suggests Shannon entertain Venomous while confessing to the bodegaman that he has plans to deal with them after dinner. As Boxman tries to stop Shannon from singing, Rad and Enid grow frustrated with his unprofessionalism. Seizing the moment, KO manages to slip out of his bindings and frees his friends. While Rad plots their escape, Enid plans to take revenge on Lord Boxman for his negligence. Fink is unimpressed with Lord Boxman's dinner preparations. As Boxman prepares to toast Professor Venomous, he's interrupted by Daryl, who appears in a sailor suit. Meanwhile, Fink crafts a paper boat, and Venomous questions the main entree. KO, Rad, and Enid don chef uniforms in a bid to sabotage the dinner, infuriating Boxman when he realizes they are ruining the event. Just as Venomous is about to recognize KO, the trio throws pies at the villains. In retaliation, Lord Boxman constructs a pie-launching bazooka using parts from Daryl and Shannon, hitting the bodegamen and trapping them. Upon hearing Venomous call his name, Boxman grows anxious about his reaction. To Boxman's surprise, Venomous requests a turn with the bazooka and blasts the bodegaman out of Boxmoor. Venomous expresses that he finds defeating heroes more exciting than dinner parties, indicating interest in purchasing the robots if they prove to be fun. Boxman embraces Venomous, only to be punched by Fink. Ultimately, KO, Rad, and Enid concede defeat after being buried in a pile of pies. KO and Rad are having fun kicking a box around, but when Rad passes it to Enid, she dismissively lets it fall, frustrating Rad since they were close to breaking their record. KO notices Enid's depressed mood, but she brushes off his concern. Suddenly, cheers erupt outside as a pink limo tank rolls into the plaza, revealing Elodie, a famous hero from the prestigious POINT Prep Academy. The plaza patrons applaud her as she enters the store. KO and Rad excitedly take a selfie with her, but when Elodie spots Enid in the background, she greets her with condescending small talk before being whisked away by fans. Enid, annoyed, goes on her break, prompting KO to inquire about her relationship with Elodie. Rad's attempt to ask Enid directly backfires, leading KO to seek Elodie's insights, but she only suggests he talk to Enid. When KO approaches Enid, she becomes furious and walks away, triggering a series of encounters with fans that frustrate her further. As she trips over a poster of Elodie, KO reassures her that it's okay to express her feelings, which transitions into a flashback. In the flashback, a younger Enid is seen practicing her ninjutsu alone when Elodie unexpectedly compliments her moves, startling Enid. Clearly a fan of Elodie, Enid initially misinterprets the praise as sarcasm, but Elodie insists it's genuine and even mimics some of Enid's moves. Enid invites Elodie to practice together, leading to a montage of them bonding and hanging out. One night they discover a flyer for the Point Academy tryouts, sparking mutual interest. Enid wants to become a hero, while Elodie seeks popularity. Enid offers half of a heart necklace as a sign of their friendship, and Elodie happily accepts, excited about having a best friend for the first time. They compete together through various challenges, but in the final showdown, they must face each other. Initially evenly matched, Enid gains the upper hand, but hesitates to strike her best friend. In a shocking twist, Elodie shoots Enid in the back, overpowering her to win the match. As Elodie celebrates in her trophy, Enid attempts to congratulate her, only to be coldly rejected. Elodie reveals their friendship was a ruse to learn how to counter her. Enid is left in shock as Elodie is carried away in her giant trophy. In the present, Enid tearfully shares with KO that Elodie's betrayal taught her to avoid caring to prevent disappointment. KO challenges her, questioning if it's worth not caring if it stops her from trying. Meanwhile, Elodie showcases her strength by defeating heroes in the plaza. When she asks for a final challenge, Enid volunteers, but Elodie scoffs at her, doubting whether Enid even cares about fighting. Enid responds, quoting a really smart friend, that true failure is not caring. The fight begins, and both seem evenly matched. Elodie mocks Enid, asking if she's learned any new moves. Enid surprises her by turning into a block of wood. In a cloud of smoke, she creates several copies of herself, which Elodie shoots down. With 2 copies left, Elodie mistakenly shoots the wrong one, and Enid strikes her down. Fans rush to Elodie as her pink limo tank arrives. As she leaves, KO asks Enid if she still hates Elodie, and she replies no, appreciating KO as a friend. Meanwhile, Elodie clutches her necklace, hinting at unresolved feelings as she tells Jeffrey to shut up. In a flashback, a young KO sits with Carol by a pond, struggling to meditate while distracted by a fly. Carol urges him to focus, a lesson that echoes into the present. KO faces off against Daryl but falters, unable to perform a power fist. He's saved by Rad and Enid, who take the lead in the fight, leaving KO behind for his safety. After their victory, Mr. Gar congratulates Rad and Enid, but KO feels deflated when Gar acknowledges his lack of participation with a simple, "Good hustle." Assigned to clean up the battle debris, KO reflects on his feelings of frustration and anger at being treated like a child. In a fit of rage, he throws his broom, only for it to be caught by a shadowy figure lurking in the nearby woods. The figure offers KO a way to gain power, which he eagerly accepts, despite his moment of hesitation. As they walk to a lake, The figure reveals himself as the shadowy figure, boasting a power level of 8. He explains that KO's true power lies in his anger and instructs him to channel his feelings. KO closes his eyes, but when his energy dissipates, he throws a tantrum. As his rage intensifies, purple energy surges around him, forming a pair of fists in the air. KO's eyes glow purple, transforming him into Turbo KO, a dark variant of himself, much to the shadowy figure's delight. Back at the plaza, Enid and Rad are confronted with another Daryl, who grows several times larger than the plaza. This larger Daryl has a cannon on his chest that would destroy the plaza as soon as it completed charging. However, the cannon does not reach that point, as it is sliced in half. As Daryl's pieces fall to the ground, it is revealed that Turbo KO was Daryl's destroyer. Rad and Enid are amazed at his newfound skill. The next day, Carol drives Turbo KO to work, but he sits silently, sullen and unresponsive to her supportive words. At the plaza, Enid and Rad are puzzled by what they believe is just a phase of KO's. They attempt to cheer him up, with Enid even calling Turbo KO cute, which only fuels his anger. He challenges them to a power battle, and with a powerful punch, Turbo KO sends Rad flying into orbit. Enid fights back fiercely, managing to hold her ground until she reaches Carol's dojo. Both Carol and Mr. Gar emerge from their businesses to intervene. Carol orders Gar to give Turbo KO compliments, but in a surprising confession, Mr. Gar admits he loves Carol. This half-hearted praise infuriates Turbo KO, who retaliates by creating a bubble of purple energy that sends everyone tumbling. Just as Turbo KO is about to attack Carol, KO confronts him within his mind. They engage in an internal battle, with KO ultimately locking Turbo KO back inside. Upon awakening, KO profusely apologizes for his actions, though he doesn't fully recall what he's done. Rad questions where KO acquired his new powers, leading KO to reveal the mysterious figure's POW card. When Carol takes the card, it glitches to show a power level of 8 instead. She chastises KO for following a stranger into the woods, just as the shadowy figure watches from atop a building, ominously declaring, "Soon," before disappearing. When Lord Boxman's obsession with attacking Lakewood Plaza Turbo interrupts his meeting with irate company investors, Cosma steps in, demanding that he cease his attacks for 24 hours or risk losing funding. Boxman struggles to resist the urge to attack, trying to tie himself to his bed as a form of self-restraint. Meanwhile, Ernesto informs the Boxbots of the situation, and they decide to host a family dinner to distract Boxman. Despite their efforts, Boxman vehemently denies any obsession, though Shannon points out that it's precisely that obsession that led to the creation of the Boxbots. In a fit of rage, Boxman storms out of the dinner, taking a moment to reflect on his life in the manufacturing floor. He realizes that his true passion has always been building robots. Reconnecting with his creative side, he spends the remainder of the 24 hours in his lab, ultimately crafting a detailed scale model of the plaza. With only 5 minutes left, Boxman heads to Gar's bodega to explain to KO, Rad, and Enid why he hasn't attacked and his intention to give up that obsession. They encourage him to break the deal, hoping to rid themselves of him for good, but when they see his resolve, they agree to let him go peacefully. Infuriated by the thought that his enemies believe he's going soft, Boxman erupts in a tantrum-fueled rant as he leaves, vowing to destroy the plaza once and for all. In his office, Cosma reports that she is impressed that Boxman was able to hold up his end of the deal. Boxman explains that he doesn't need to destroy Lakewood Plaza Turbo, but he still wants to, and sends the Boxbots out for another attack run. KO prepares some nachos for his animal companion, Baby Teeth, when an alarm suddenly sounds. Another one of Boxman's robots is attacking. KO teams up with Enid and Rad to investigate. They discover a mysterious box, and although Rad initially dismisses it as harmless, the robot inside breaks free and introduces herself as Michaela. KO tries to befriend her, but Michaela nearly attacks him, prompting a chaotic 3-on-1 battle. Despite their efforts, Michaela's animal-like abilities overpower them, and they quickly find themselves defeated. Determined to turn the tide, KO attempts to make peace with Michaela, but she continues to dig instead. Enid and Rad regroup with KO to devise a new strategy. KO suggests calling for baby teeth, but she's too busy enjoying the nachos he made earlier. As that plan fizzles, KO proposes they transform into animals themselves. When Rad questions how they can achieve this, Dendy suddenly appears from Rad's van. She explains that they need to be bitten by a were-animal, which will activate an enzyme to unleash their inner beasts. Eager to try this out, the trio spots Crinkly Wrinkly lounging on a bench. They rush over, begging him to bite them. One by one, Crinkly complies, expressing his excitement about the bites. After he hops onto a bus and departs, Enid scolds KO and Rad for their impulsive decision. Frustrated at having been bitten, Enid suddenly feels a strange sensation and grows a fluffy bunny tail, followed by bunny ears, whiskers, and pink fur, transforming completely into a bunny. She declares this her inner animal because she's quick on her feet. Rad, eager to showcase his transformation, believes he can become a wolf due to his manliness. After tearing off his shirt, he grows fur and a collar with a bell, only to discover he's actually a cat, much to everyone's amusement. KO is excited to find out his inner animal. As he grows a tail, Enid and Rad enthusiastically suggest he's a puppy because of his cuteness, leading him to transform fully into a dog. While they celebrate, they momentarily forget about Michaela, who attacks Rad. The trio quickly springs into action, using their newfound animal powers to defeat her. However, they soon realize they have no way to change back to humans. Embracing their animal forms, they initially enjoy it but soon regret it when they discover they have fleas. After trying various methods to revert, they return to Crinkly Wrinkly, who offers no solutions, but Potato tells them they can belong somewhere. On Valentine's Day, Enid, Radicals, and KO are busy decorating Gar's bodega with heart-shaped ornaments when a surprise explosion from pomegranate shoots reveals Cupid. He announces his mission to resolve a long-hidden romantic tension between Rad and Enid. Although Enid protests, Cupid uses his flashback eye to transport them years into the past. In the flashback, a younger Enid drops her manga at school, and young Rad picks it up, sparking her interest. Encouraged by Elodie, Enid decides to ask Rad out, though she's hesitant. Rad agrees, but when they meet at Enid's training spot, he struggles with insecurity. Misguided by his friends, he resorts to immature antics instead of being genuine. Frustrated, Enid unleashes a fireball attack, causing her to storm off. This moment ignites a crush in young Rad, who realizes his mistakes too late. Back in the present, KO is heartbroken by the story's sad conclusion. Cupid confirms KO's feelings, stating that they need to resolve this unfinished romance. As tensions rise, the trio prepares for a heartfelt resolution. But not the way everyone thinks. They're kind of in a ring fighting to see who was the most chivalrous. Enid ends up revolting and falling from the ring towards the lava flow that was around. She was calm and ready to accept her death fate. But before that, she is saved by Rad with his telekinesis and pulls her back up to the ring, and he apologized for being a jerk on their first date. She accepts his apologies, and Cupid sees that now they are in a platonic friendship. Soon after that returns to the sky. They go out and walk together. Enid punches his arm, and he runs after her. KO is hanging out with Dendy, excitedly discussing their shared hobby of collecting POW cards. The conversation takes a somber turn when KO mentions his desire to own his own POW card, only for Dendy to reveal she cannot have one because she is a kappa, a creature viewed as evil by the town. Distressed by the discrimination, they hatch a plan to destroy their POW cards in a volcano, but they hesitate, realizing how much the cards symbolize their friendship. Deciding on a new approach, they visit the POW cards industry to advocate for kappa inclusion. While exploring, they inadvertently split from their tour group and are ambushed by a golden statue robot of the founder. Cornered, KO is saved by Dendy, who short-circuits the robot with an electric pulse. They push onward to a secret room and discover the POW card manufacturing process. Just as Dendy is about to activate her custom override code, they are captured by guards alerted by the robot's malfunction. At that moment, Mr. Cardsley arrives, pretending to help and claiming they are lost. KO boldly confronts him about the exclusion of kappas from the POW cards, determined to make a change. Mr. Cardsley responds dismissively, claiming that kappas like Dendy shouldn't be rewarded for their supposed history of drowning people. KO passionately defends Dendy, pointing out all the great things she's done, and challenges Mr. Cardsley by asking if he has ever known a Kappa. The question makes Mr. Cardsley uncomfortable, and he quickly orders the guards to capture KO and Dendy. Dendy, however, stands her ground and tells Mr. Cardsley that Kappas cannot be heroes because there are no Kappa role models for them to look up to. She then proposes to hack into the system to find any Kappa heroes. Reluctantly, Mr. Cardsley agrees, and Dendy gets to work on the main computer. Initially, no Kappa heroes appear on the screen, and just as Mr. Cardsley boasts about being right, the display lights up with thousands of Kappa heroes, with their POW cards emerging rapidly. The sudden influx of Kappa heroes causes the funds to skyrocket, sending the entire party into a frenzy as gold spills out of the control room. Conceding defeat, Mr. Cardsley decides to manufacture Kappa POW cards. In a heartwarming conclusion, KO gifts Dendy her very own POW card, which turns out to be a level 1. Carol is watching television when she asks KO if he has finished his homework. He replies he's still working on it, and she playfully requests he open his mouth, revealing a robot eye inside. KO explains that he's using it for a teamwork assignment, mentioning it could help show her previous job as a member of Point. Carol laughs and says he doesn't need to showcase anything since he's with Silver Spark herself. She begins reminiscing about her first day at Point, excitedly tidying her locker. In the flashback, Elbow appears, looking nervous. Carol warns him about his trademark cabinets, asking if he wants to customize his. He simply states he wants to survive another day, to which Carol reassures him he'll be fine with his boys, referring to his elbows. KO is surprised by Mr. Gar's nervousness, but Carol smiles, saying he still acts the same. She continues the flashback, sharing how she studied superhero moves to impress Mr. Gar and Rippy Roo. Picking up her sticker box, she tells Mr. Gar to choose one, teasingly assuming he picked Foxtail because he has a crush on her. Laser Blast arrives, causing Silver Spark to panic and quickly shut her closet filled with photos of him. He informs them that they will soon be decorated, and they excitedly follow him, officially becoming junior members. They share a group hug, but when the alarm rings, they rush to respond, only to be told by Laser Blast that it's not yet time for junior members to participate in missions. As Laser Blast picks up a mop to clean, Rippy Roo intervenes, using a device that cleans the floor automatically. Silver Spark suggests they show each other their power moves. Though Elbow feels a bit nervous, he goes along with it. To his surprise, Silver Spark mimics his moves perfectly. Her power allows her to reproduce the moves of both heroes and villains. Suddenly, a giant robot appears, threatening to destroy Point. Silver Spark sees it as their chance to prove themselves, but Elbow panics, insisting they're just junior members and unsure of what to do. After a moment of hysteria, he calms down, and together, they defeat the giant robot, just as the other Point members arrive to congratulate them. As Laser Blast moves closer to Silver Spark, Dr. Grayman offers to get pizza and invites her to join him. KO wraps up everything by sharing the inspiring story of teamwork with his mother's old colleagues, announcing the end of their adventure. Rad and Enid decide to perform a dance to a Shadow Boys music video, but KO secretly records them and posts it on his video channel. When Red Action reveals this, an infuriated Rad and Enid confront KO, demanding he delete his channel and stop sharing embarrassing videos. In a rush, KO hurries home to delete his channel, leaving Rad and Enid to watch some of his previous uploads. Their first stop is a video of Enid and Rad in a kiddie pool, where Enid attempts to slide in with a floaty but accidentally slips and knocks Rad down instead. They chuckle at the memory. Next, they stumble upon a clip of KO putting on his human suit from We've Got Fleas, eliciting some laughter. The third video shows KO eagerly opening a pack of POW cards his mother Carol gifted him, filled with excitement. Then they watch an AMV featuring Rad and Enid, repurposing footage from Second First Date, which gets them reminiscing about their past adventures. The fifth video catches them off guard. A grumpy Turbo KO rants about being called cute and how no one notices him. Just then, Carol waves at him from a distance, prompting a frustrated scream from KO. Enid pauses the video, sensing the mood has turned too serious, and decides to skip to the next one. Finally, they find KO hanging over a pit in Boxmoor, which leads to a burst of laughter as they recall the chaos of that moment. Their laughter fills the room, momentarily forgetting their annoyance with KO as they bond over his goofy memories. In the 7th video, KO is seen playing with a wizard action figure and a ninja action figure that has Enid's face on it. Rad, feeling left out, complains about the lack of himself in the video and quickly skips to the next one. The 8th video features KO and Dendy sneaking up to Rad's house at 6:15 in the morning. They peek through the window, only to catch Rad doing pull-ups in his underwear. When Rad notices them, he panics, and they both flee, laughing at the unexpected moment. Next, they watch the 9th video, where KO showcases his top 10 favorite POW cards. Rad, not wanting to sit through the entire list, skips ahead to the end. He discovers that KO's 2 favorite POW cards are Rad and Enid, highlighting how much he values their friendship. The 10th video brings a wave of nostalgia as Enid and Rad watch KO's very first video. It showcases his first day working at Gar's Hero Supply in Bodega, where he proudly displays his brand new vest. He admits that he doesn't have many friends but calls Rad and Enid his first 2 friends, expressing his desire to include them in his videos. After watching all the clips, Rad and Enid feel a pang of guilt. They realize that KO never intended to embarrass them. Instead, his channel is filled with precious memories of their friendship. They come to a heartfelt conclusion. KO should keep his channel, as it captures moments that truly matter to them all. KO uploads an 11th and final video, announcing that he plans to delete his channel. Realizing they need to intervene, Rad and Enid hop into Rad's van and rush to stop him. However, when KO forgets his password, it buys them extra time to reach his house. Unfortunately, their journey is delayed by Chameleon Sr., who causes a traffic jam, leaving them anxious. Finally, they arrive at KO's house just as he notices them. But in a moment of distress, he clicks his computer to delete the channel. Rad and Enid feel a wave of sorrow, knowing how many memories the channel held. However, KO reassures them that he will always cherish those memories, regardless of the channel's fate. Then, in a twist of optimism, KO asks Rad and Enid if they want to help him make movies instead. Excited by the idea, the 3 friends set up cameras and get to work, combining their unique styles and having a blast while filming. Enid scrolls through Red Action's social media feed while working on a slow day at the bodega, puzzled by why a cool girl from the year 301X would choose to hang around the plaza in 201X. Just then, Red comes in to buy gum and mentions that her friends bailed on her. Seizing the moment, she invites Enid to hang out together. Excited, Enid hops into Red's hover tank for a cruise through the danger zone. They enjoy their ride until they are suddenly confronted by the Hue Troop, who emerge through a time portal. Blue Power announces that they have traveled to the past to arrest Red. Red awkwardly brushes off the Hue Troopers as road performance artists and speeds past them, igniting a chaotic road battle. They manage to temporarily escape, but Enid senses something deeper behind Red's predicament. As they regroup, Red opens up about her past. Once part of the Hue Troop, heroes from 301X, she reveals that she was guided by Renbo through the Prism Crystal, which fell to Earth in a meteor long ago. Red laments her mistake of breaking the crystal, which has now put her on the run from her former team. Enid is astonished by Red's story and tells her how incredible she is, but Red angrily disagrees. She expresses her frustration with the Hue Troop's rigid lifestyle and admits she's been following Enid's social media stream, admiring her independence and individuality from afar. Red reveals that she never had the nerve to comment on Enid's posts and always dreamed of hanging out with the coolest person in 201X before getting dragged back to the future. They are suddenly interrupted by the reappearance of Hue Troop, and Red hesitates to confront them. However, Enid reassures her with a supportive hand on her back and a warm smile. With newfound determination, Red and Enid engage in an epic battle against the Hue Troop. Just as they gain the upper hand, a meteor suddenly streaks across the sky. Red and Enid exchange alarmed glances, realizing it's the same meteor that brought the Prism Crystal. Everyone scrambles for cover as the meteor impacts, sending everyone flying off their feet. Amid the chaos, Red spots the crystal and quickly snatches it up. In a surprising turn of events, Red approaches the Hue Troop and hands over the crystal. She reconciles with them, explaining how her time in 201X has helped her realize her past mistakes. The Hue Troop invites her to rejoin them and return to 301X, but Red declines. She tells them that it's because of Enid that she's discovered her own strength and individuality, and that she plans to stay in 201X because it's pretty cool. As the Hue Troop returns to the future, Yellow Technique comments, "Red's changed," acknowledging her growth. With a newfound bond, Enid and Red carry on with their cruise. Dendy arrives at Gar's bodega, excited to meet up with KO. However, KO suddenly remembers he has to visit his grandmother, which conflicts with his job. Dendy quickly steps up, suggesting that she can substitute for KO for the day. She has meticulously studied his daily routine and feels ready to take on the duties at the bodega. KO agrees, leaving everything in Dendy's capable hands. Enid wastes no time putting Dendy to work, starting with cleaning the floors, which seem to get dirty the moment they're spotless. Dendy, resourceful as ever, uses her hack pack to hack the cleaning sponge, allowing it to efficiently wipe down the messes with minimal effort. With the floors clean, she takes a moment to laugh at Rad, who is comically asleep on the floor. Dendy then joins Enid at the register, where she offers a cryptic suggestion to Dolph Finn about which hair dye color to buy, adding her own unique flair to the job. Just then, the alarm signals Boxmore's daily attack on the plaza. Today's opponent is Ernesto, Boxmore's business bot, who fumbles awkwardly as he tries to emulate his more battle-hardened siblings. Dendy recognizes this as a moment where KO would typically learn a valuable life lesson. Drawing from her own experiences, she offers Ernesto constructive criticism, encouraging him to be true to himself. Taking Dendy's words to heart, Ernesto taps into his own combat skills, which prove to be surprisingly powerful and overwhelming for Enid and Rad. In a burst of creativity, Dendy constructs an exoskeleton in KO's image to battle Ernesto. She appreciates the irony of imitating KO in her own way, and with her new creation, she sends Ernesto flying back to Boxmore in a triumphant defeat. Rad and Enid thank Dendy for her help and ask if she can fill in for KO more often. But Dendy declines and admits that the one thing she can't understand about KO is how he's able to complete his daily routine every single day. When KO returns from visiting his grandmother, his friends are eager to share with him the day's events, and Dendy smiles at completing KO's last task for the day, having a final, tender moment. KO, Enid, and Rad are closing up the bodega, getting ready to leave after another busy day. Just as they finish tidying up, Carol arrives to pick KO up. Mr. Gar, preparing to exit, notices Carol and blushes nervously when she greets him warmly. Their moment is interrupted by the sudden arrival of Steamborg, who intends to destroy the bodega. Steamborg analyzes Carol, identifying her as Silver Spark, and Mr. Gar as Elbow. Just before Steamborg's fist is about to collide with Mr. Gar's face, he catches a glimpse of Carol and recalls their time as a formidable team. In a flashback, we see the members of Point in action, taking down an army of mecha lizards. Dr. Grayman commends them for their efforts, announcing he has a solo mission to attend and that they deserve a well-earned break. At lunch, Elbow tries to enjoy his sandwich when Silver Spark walks by, complimenting it. Flustered, he decides to save it for later. Rippy Roo joins him, and Elbow confides that he's thinking of confessing his feelings to Silver Spark. However, Rippy Roo drops the bombshell that Silver Spark is dating Laser Blast, leaving Elbow feeling insecure and questioning why she would choose him over someone like Laser Blast. Foxtail then interrupts their conversation, notifying the team of an emergency meeting called by Dr. Grayman in the main hall. There, Dr. Grayman reveals he's discovered weapons previously belonging to an unknown villain. He showcases 3 orbs. The blue orb can create black holes upon exploding, the green orb can shrink targets to subatomic levels, and the red orb's capabilities remain unclear. When Dr. Grayman accidentally activates the red orb during his demonstration, it explodes, resulting in him losing his powers. Laser Blast suggests grabbing the orbs to use against foes, but Foxtail insists they must locate and disarm them. Laser Blast volunteers to search, with Silver Spark joining as backup and Elbow coming along as double backup. Foxtail and Rippy Roo stay with Dr. Grayman. The trio arrives near a donut shop, where Laser Blast mentions that some orbs are beneath it. He plans to sneak in and disarm the weapons, telling Silver Spark and Elbow to stay back for safety. Upset, Silver Spark protests, but Laser Blast insists it's too risky. To cheer her up, he hands her a lollipop, much to Elbow's disgust. While waiting, Elbow tries to encourage her, saying, "We're like a sandwich. All the ingredients are good, but together, we create something amazing." Silver Spark agrees but leaves Elbow disappointed. Suddenly, Silver Spark hears a noise and believes Laser Blast is in trouble. She rushes toward the shop, but Elbow blocks her with more sandwich talk. An explosion erupts, and they run to the shop, which shrinks and gets sucked into a black hole. Silver Spark yells at Elbow, blaming him for ruining her chance to save Laser Blast. As time freezes, Carol lunges to save Mr. Gar just before Steamborg's fist can strike him. Disoriented, Mr. Gar asks what's happening, and Carol reassures him that she's saving him. Overwhelmed with emotion, Mr. Gar tries to apologize for the events surrounding Laser Blast's disappearance. However, Carol, more understanding than before, tells him that had he not intervened, both she and Laser Blast would have been shrunk and lost forever. She forgives him, easing his guilt. They quickly dodge another attack and prepare to confront Steamborg together. Channeling their energy, Carol and Mr. Gar strike Steamborg's eye with their elbows, successfully destroying him. They embrace after the explosion, celebrating their victory. Afterward, Carol decides to head home, but makes a detour to her dojo to grab her purse. Once inside, she checks in through an earpiece, informing an unknown person that everything is under control and that there's no need to send in a unit. She ends the call, revealing a layer of mystery in her actions. At Lakewood Public School, KO and Dendy are trading POW cards when Dendy tries to get KO's shadowy figure card. KO declines, believing he's seen the last of it. The conversation shifts to Turbo KO's destructive alter ego, but KO won't discuss it despite Dendy's curiosity. Their chat is interrupted by Miss Quantum, who complains about the class's quiz failures. She orders everyone to participate in Lakewood Public's Mystery Science Fair 201X, with projects due by the next day, threatening suspension for late submissions. Dendy excitedly announces her project, finding the trigger that unleashes Turbo KO, worries he might hurt her again, but Dendy assures him it will be safe in her secret lab. Inside, KO marvels at the high-tech gadgets, especially a bean-powered lamp that Dendy warns him not to touch. Dendy puts KO through a series of tests to provoke Turbo KO, but he only feels pain. During a pizza break, KO complains about the olives, wishing he could destroy them. This causes a spike in Dendy's readings, leading her to realize that powerlessness might trigger Turbo KO. Dendy takes KO to her computer and sets up a complex simulation that places him in an impossible situation. Gar's bodega is on fire, and KO has only 30 seconds to save one of his friends. Struggling to find a solution to save them all, he fails, and in his anguish, transforms into Turbo KO, unleashing destructive energy across the lab. As Dendy tries to stop the rampage, Turbo KO discovers her cherished bean-powered lamp and threatens to destroy it. Dendy realizes her mistake in pushing KO beyond his limits, reflecting on how she had disregarded his emotions for the sake of science. Her apology causes Turbo KO's powers to short-circuit, and he collapses. Dendy rushes to catch him, even as her precious lamp shatters on the floor. Turbo KO laughs mockingly, but Dendy apologizes again, understanding the toll she had taken on her friend. This gesture of empathy allows KO to regain control and revert to his normal self. After the ordeal, the two agree that a safer science project is the best course of action. They decide to explore the power of positivity as an energy source. However, Miss Quantum is unimpressed by the results, pointing out that another student presented a similar project but executed it with more finesse. Carol and KO walk into Logic Cuts, excited for a haircut. As Mr. Logic prepares the tools, KO notices that he's a robot, expressing surprise that he can be skilled like other robots. Mr. Logic recounts his creation story, revealing that Lad Boxman designed him to help devise evil plans. He recalls a time when Lad Boxman suggested sending a cake filled with evil robots. To point Mr. Logic proposed instead, that Lad should focus on creating a business that manufactures robots, which he believed would enhance their schemes against heroes. Lad agreed, leading to the establishment of Boxmore and the production of the Junkfish. As time passes, Mr. Logic informs Lad that the Junkfish are performing well, but their success is interrupted when a developer announces plans for a new store in the plaza. Mr. Logic sees this development as an opportunity, thinking more heroes will mean more villains can be created. However, Lad is concerned about the store's placement, so Mr. Logic suggests they destroy it. When Lad launches Junkfish at the site, a man manages to repel them. Determined to improve the Junkfish, Lad decides to redesign them. Despite Mr. Logic's warning that the current standards of Boxmore won't support such an undertaking long-term, Lad dismisses Mr. Logic's concerns, insisting that he needs to adopt his perspective on the world. Outside Logic cuts, Mr. Logic converses with a man speaking gibberish. As the man removes the hair obstructing his face, it's revealed that he's Mr. Gar. Mr. Logic suggests giving Gar a haircut to improve communication, and Gar readily agrees. After the haircut, Gar, now able to speak clearly, shares that he's planning to open a store focused on creation. This prompts Mr. Logic to reflect on how good it feels to create, drawing a parallel to Gar's feelings about his own ventures. Meanwhile, Crinkly Wrinkly shows up, expressing his intent to shop at Gar's future store, surprising KO with his unexpected presence. Back at Boxmore, Mr. Logic confronts Boxman about the new version of the Junkfish, arguing that it's better to create than destroy. Their differing philosophies lead Logic to leave Boxmore, while Boxman resolves to unleash the Junkfish for destruction. Outside, Mr. Gar enjoys a sandwich but soon finds himself lured into an ambush by the Junkfish. Just as it attacks, Mr. Logic arrives, cutting the power to the Junkfish and freeing Gar, who then destroys the malfunctioning robot. Grateful for the rescue, Mr. Gar offers Mr. Logic the chance to open a barbershop, which Logic happily accepts. In the present, KO reflects on Mr. Logic's story, realizing it wasn't as funny as he thought. Mr. Logic counters, pointing out that without those events, he wouldn't be cutting KO's hair today, which he finds amusing. KO acknowledges Mr. Logic as a true do-gooder, and Mr. Logic expresses gratitude before finishing the haircut, leaving KO thankful for the transformation. Rad and Enid are waiting for KO to film a dance video for his channel, but they're surprised to find he's made other plans. Following him outside, they see him meeting with Dendy, which Rad finds insulting. Their suspicion grows as it becomes clear that KO and Dendy are plotting something, prompting Rad and Enid to spy on them behind the plaza. Meanwhile, Daryl struggles to focus as alternate versions of himself let him run Boxmore alone. Mistakenly believing this makes him his father's favorite, he seeks out Boxman, only to find Boxman Jr. gaining his father's attention instead. Hurt and angry, Daryl becomes grounded and starts plotting to do the most evil thing he can think of. Back at the plaza, Dendy works with KO to help him control Turbo KO, aiming to harness his powers without losing control. They're interrupted by Rad and Enid, who confront KO and doubt his abilities, causing him to begin transforming. Their confrontation is cut short by a massive explosion at the plaza's entrance. As they rush to investigate, they find Boxman Jr. attacking the plaza. KO, Rad, and Enid attempt to fight back, but are swiftly overpowered. Despite landing a few hits, they're no match for Boxman Jr.'s powerful attacks and weaponry. During the battle, Carol suffers a broken leg while trying to attack alongside Mr. Gar, leaving them all at a disadvantage. KO suggests using Turbo KO's power to turn the tide, but Carol nervously laughs and gathers the others to strategize. Just then, Boxman Jr. fires a missile, causing the bodega's sign to come crashing down. In the chaos, the group panics, unaware that the sign is about to fall on KO and Carol. As time slows, KO contemplates his options, feeling misunderstood and believing only Turbo KO, his darker half, can resolve the chaos. He saves Carol from the falling sign and starts transforming into Turbo KO. Rad and Enid, unaware of the impending change, try to talk KO down, warning him about Turbo KO's uncontrollable nature, inadvertently triggering the transformation. Inside KO's mind, Turbo KO is furious about KO's attempts to experiment with his powers. Initially surprised when KO opens the cage, Turbo KO eagerly leaps out, ready for action. When KO begs for help to defeat Boxman Jr., Turbo KO shoves KO back into the cage and takes control of their body. Carol watches in horror as Turbo KO emerges, sending Boxman Jr. crashing into the Boxmore building. Turbo KO charges after him, eager to finish the fight. Rad and Enid follow, determined to rein Turbo KO in, while Daryl, envious, plots against his brother. Despite Turbo KO's raw power, he struggles to destroy Boxman Jr. The building shakes with each impact, threatening to collapse, and KO pleads with Turbo KO to stop endangering their friends. Enid and Rad manage to land on a nearby catwalk, shaken by the chaos surrounding them. They take in the damage from the battle, realizing they have no means to stop Turbo KO. Dendi, who had snuck onto Rad's back, agrees they would be in dire straits without her. Enid and Rad sheepishly apologize for not thinking ahead. Dendi momentarily scolds them, but quickly reveals that she has been studying KO and Turbo KO's relationship and knows how to bring Turbo KO back. Rad doubts Dendi's ability to handle Turbo KO, especially given the destructive path he's on, leaving a trail of energy spelling ruin to all who oppose me. But Dendi insists they don't need technology. They only need to leverage the bond they share with KO. She asks Rad and Enid to launch her toward Turbo KO, and when she embraces him, he freezes in shock. Enid and Rad quickly grab hold of him, joining Dendi in a tight hug, reminding Turbo KO that he is loved and appreciated. The warmth of their affection reaches KO, shattering the cage in his mind. Turbo KO, back in control, angrily confronts KO about wanting his power. KO, after a brief pause, boldly declares he can defeat Boxman Jr., leaving Turbo KO surprised and confused. Drawing from his experience with POW cards, KO proposes a deal. He'll use Turbo KO's power in exchange for something his darker half desires. Turbo KO reveals that all he desires is to fight. KO, finding this acceptable, transforms the remnants of the mental cage into a punching bag. Turbo KO asks if this means no more cages, and KO affirms that he will channel Turbo KO's rage into combat. Turbo KO eagerly tests the punching bag, and his energy flows through their shared mind. He punches it excitedly, exclaiming, "It's perfect." KO then asks if they have a deal, to which Turbo KO agrees, though he pulls KO closer, saying, "No take-backs." Their energies merge into chains, binding them to their agreement. With that, KO reasserts control. KO awakens floating, holding his friends, and gently puts them down. After putting on a new sweatband, he explains that he now has a grip on Turbo KO's powers, and asks if his friends trust him. They affirm, and he heads off to finish Boxman Jr. In a challenging battle, KO uses Turbo KO's energy while enduring multiple blows. Ultimately, he defeats Boxman Jr. with a powerful double power fist, one blue and one purple, corresponding to their wristbands. Boxman Jr.'s head flies into Boxman's popcorn, causing Boxman to scream in disbelief. Returning to the plaza, KO momentarily worries his mother and Mr. Gar, who catch a glimpse of Turbo KO's silhouette. Carol embraces KO, relieved after worrying about his transformation. She and Gar ask if Enid and Rad took down Boxman Jr., to which they explain that KO did it himself, leaving his mother and Gar surprised. KO expresses gratitude to Dendi, who shyly thanks him back for helping her with her emotions. Dendi tells KO that he's made a breakthrough too, prompting confusion among his friends. She suggests he refresh his POW card, and when he does, he finds out he's now a level 1 hero. Gar praises him, making KO almost float away until his friends catch him. They apologize for doubting him, realizing he's their friend and co-worker, and should have trusted him. KO forgives them, but insists they don't need to worry about him anymore. Enid and Rad declare that level 1 heroes still get noogies and attempt to give him a few. KO slaps their hands away, reminding them he just got a haircut. He jumps away, leaving his friends nervously laughing as Dynamite declares the end of the episode. Meanwhile, the Boxman family mourns Boxman Jr., holding a funeral with a rattle in his crib. Daryl enters cheerfully in a sailor suit, turning on the lights. Boxman angrily threatens to send Daryl to the furnace, realizing he never liked Junior. Daryl announces an important call, revealing an enraged Cosma. She fires Boxman and threatens to send him to the sun, while Daryl becomes the new CEO of Boxmoor, declaring, "There's a new daddy in town." Enid laughs while reading the newspaper, prompting KO to check it out. He sees that Daryl, now known as Lord Cowboy Daryl, is featured on the front page with a headline about Cosma, congratulating him on skyrocketing Boxmoor's profits under his leadership. KO wonders if Lord Cowboy Daryl and the other robots miss Lord Boxman. Meanwhile, at Boxmoor, the robots are impressed by Lord Cowboy Daryl's leadership, enjoying their newfound autonomy. Daryl revels in not having to follow Lord Boxman's orders. Suddenly, Cool Sun blasts Lord Boxman back to Earth, landing him outside Boxmoor. Lord Cowboy Daryl quickly summons other Daryls to bring Lord Boxman to his office. There, Daryl assigns Boxman to do the same tasks the other Daryls perform. Struggling with his new responsibilities, Lord Boxman finds himself carrying crates, screwing caps onto Daryl's heads, and accidentally getting toxic chemicals in his eyes while trying to dispose of them. When he finally finishes, he's shocked to discover the factory has transformed. The robots no longer miss him and are satisfied with the improved working conditions. Lord Boxman arrives at Lord Cowboy Daryl's office, ready for a new assignment, an attack on the plaza. He steps through the portal box, surprising the bodegamen, who laugh at his unexpected entrance. Lord Boxman informs them about the changes at the factory and the success of Lord Cowboy Daryl. The bodegamen advise him to be proud of his son's accomplishments and to support him. However, anger gets the better of Lord Boxman, and he decides to fight the bodegamen instead, only to be punched back to Boxmoor. Determined, Lord Boxman reaches an ultimatum. He believes he should be the one controlling Daryl, as he is his son. He marches to confront Lord Cowboy Daryl, but then he recalls the bodegamen's earlier advice. This reflection leads him to realize that he has failed his company, especially as Lord Cowboy Daryl has managed it better. With newfound pride in his son's achievements, Lord Boxman departs from Boxmoor, leaving Daryl to continue his tradition of attacking the plaza. It's 7 a.m. when Enid and Rad walk into the bodega, excited to chill for a bit. Rad checks his phone and notices that Mr. Gar has updated his profile, showing off his romantic gestures with Carol. Enid thinks it's strange, but Rad wonders how KO feels about it. They sit at the entrance, speculating about KO's feelings. After 2 hours of waiting, KO finally arrives, looking a bit tired. Enid and Rad immediately bombard him with questions about Mr. Gar and Carol. KO admits he has mixed feelings and isn't sure how to process it all. Suddenly, he hears his mom screaming outside and rushes out to help, with Enid and Rad following closely behind. They find out that Mr. Gar has surprised Carol with a bush sculpture made by Crinkly Wrinkly. KO questions if Carol is happy, and she reveals it's date night, filled with surprises from Mr. Gar. Shocked by her nervousness, KO and his friends agree to help with the date. KO suggests Carol ask Mr. Gar out, and when Mr. Gar arrives, KO urges his mom to speak first. Carol asks him out, and he happily agrees to a date at the Danger Zone at 8 p.m. It's now 7:45 p.m., and KO, Enid, and Rad are busy setting up the date in the Danger Zone. KO reassures Carol not to worry, promising he has a plan to make everything perfect. Rad is on beauty duty, giving Carol a makeover, while Enid, aka DJ Fireball, sets up the soundtrack for the evening. KO is in charge of the food, but Carol still feels anxious. As the clock strikes 8 p.m., it's finally date time. KO, Enid, and Rad leave to give Carol some privacy. Mr. Gar arrives, holding flowers for Carol, but he notices her face paint. She's dressed as a tiger. Flustered, Carol quickly fixes her makeup. KO watches from a distance, worried that the date isn't going well. Rad agrees, commenting that Carol's makeup looks terrible. KO urges Enid to turn on the music, but it's so loud that Carol and Mr. Gar can't hear each other. In a moment of excitement, Carol loudly exclaims how hot Mr. Gar looks, accidentally using her supersonic scream, knocking Mr. Gar, KO, Rad, and Enid off their feet. After checking on the date, KO notices Carol seems genuinely happy, easing his worries. Just then, the Danger Zone sandworm emerges behind them, drawn to the date. It lunges for Mr. Gar and Carol. The trio attempts to stop the sandworm but fails. Rad wonders why it's so angry and KO suspects it's hungry. He offers the sandworm his honey sandwich but it rejects it, transforming it into sparkling honey, Mr. Gar's favorite. Enid quickly grabs her old records and uses them to attack the sandworm. When one of the records lands in its mouth, romantic music starts playing, catching Carol and Mr. Gar's attention. They begin to dance, completely unaware that the chaos surrounding them is enhancing their date. As KO, Enid, and Rad continue battling the sandworm, they notice the unexpected effect their struggle is having on the couple. Rad uses his beauty duty skills to send the sandworm into space, but in a twist, he gets eaten by it. Undeterred, he pulls out a sample bath bomb, using it to escape the creature's grasp. The sandworm eventually explodes, creating a stunning aurora in the sky. Carol initially thinks a meteor shower has started, but her gaze shifts to Mr. Gar, who appears a bit sad. Concerned, Carol asks him why. Mr. Gar confesses that he felt he was messing up. His nerves about their relationship led him to try too hard to impress her. He realizes that Carol is all he needs to be happy. In a heartfelt moment, they share a kiss. From a distance, KO and Enid watch, with Enid expressing mild disgust. Rad shares her sentiment, but KO surprises them both by admitting he's actually okay with it. Inside KO's mind, Turbo KO spends his days bored in a house designed for him, irritated that KO can enjoy the outside world. His frustration escalates when he sees a figure resembling the shadowy figure, causing him to overcharge KO and force a chase. The figure turns out to be Purd, prompting KO to realize it's time for a serious talk with Turbo KO. In the break room, KO tries to meditate and connect with Turbo KO. Initially unresponsive, Turbo KO eventually expresses his anger, stating that living in KO's world isn't enough. He blames the shadowy figure for his situation and demands answers about his existence. KO, who had been avoiding the topic, agrees to help. They go through KO's memories and conclude that the dude likes glorbs. They realize the only place to find glorbs is under the plaza. KO hesitates to break in, leading to a brief argument. Eventually, they decide to operate as Big KO together. After clumsily making their way under the plaza, they notice the shadowy figure passing by, reigniting their focus on finding answers. They attempt to confront shadowy figure, but their unstable coordination causes them to struggle to stand, resulting in a tumble when shadowy figure tosses down a banana peel. He comments that he had seen some improvement during the fight against Boxman Jr., but now they're just a mess. Meanwhile, in KO's mind, Turbo KO feels defeated and depressed. However, KO materializes a device he saw in a movie, along with techno suits, to aid their fight as one, leaving Turbo KO confused. Despite the initial hesitation, KO convinces Turbo KO to collaborate, and they suit up before plugging into the machine. This merging creates a powerful synergy, resulting in both experiencing a parallel nosebleed. Outside, their body flashes, revealing PKO, who promptly attacks shadowy figure. Although empowered, Perfect KO is thrown across the sanctum, crashing through a wall. After ensuring KO is okay, Turbo KO and KO regroup. KO apologizes for his flying inexperience, but Turbo KO reassures him that they don't need to fly. They just need to fall. With understanding, KO helps Turbo KO up, and they launch a powerful kick at Shadowy Figure's chest. The two confront Shadowy Figure, demanding answers about Turbo KO's creation. They learn he is merely the embodiment of KO's negative aspects, with Shadowy Figure having given him form. When they ask why he created Turbo KO, he claims it was to get under the plaza for the glorbs, which he insists have great worth. Disgusted, KO resolves to take Shadowy Figure down, but Turbo KO remains skeptical. He notices how much Shadowy Figure knows about them, what makes them tick, their goals, and their friends. Too much for it to just be about glorbs. Furious, Turbo KO demands to know why Shadowy Figure cares so much about them and throws a punch. However, in the process, he accidentally disconnects his cable, causing their body to become temporarily inert, allowing Shadowy Figure to escape. Back in Turbo KO's house, KO consoles him, pointing out that he belongs with KO as part of him. Turbo KO feels a bit better and offers to help KO fix the door he broke. Realizing KO must return to the real world, KO surprises Turbo KO by deciding to stay a while longer and plays a video game with his counterpart. KO wakes up excited on his birthday, ready for a special day. Carol dresses him up and surprises him with a stack of birthday pancakes. He gently pushes her aside to make a private wish before blowing out the candle and enjoying his meal, wishing to spend the day with Enid and Rad. Arriving at Rad's place, KO finds them watching sad documentaries. They realize they forgot his birthday, but quickly save him a spot for The Lonely Hero, a film about a lonely hero whose isolation leads to hallucinations. Despite it being their day off, KO wants to hang out at the plaza. Hoping for a burrito from Burrito Beardo's, KO is disappointed to find Beardo absent. The bodegamen check the iframe outlet, fitness dojo, and logic cuts, but everyone is missing. Enid and Rad cheer him up by pointing out they have the plaza to themselves. They gather ingredients from Burrito Beardo's to create a food portrait of Mr. Gar at the iframe outlet. The trio has fun in the fitness dojo and plays a dance arcade game at the Neorama Game Center, making the most of KO's special day. Outside, KO spots a party hat in the parking lot and excitedly puts it on after hearing a party noisemaker. Inside the bodega, KO, Enid, and Rad snack while enjoying each other's company. They hear the noisemaker again and suspect it's coming from the break room. When the break room door slams shut and locks them in, Enid and Rad try to force it open, but it won't budge. Feeling guilty, KO worries that his wish for a day alone might have caused this. Enid and Rad spiral into confusion, questioning reality as they start experiencing hallucinations similar to The Lonely Hero documentary. The hallucinations become increasingly bizarre, culminating in KO imagining a hot dog version of Rad. KO snaps back to reality when he discovers that everyone at the plaza has organized a surprise birthday party for him. Carol presents a towering cake stack. Enid and Rad are bewildered, wondering why everyone was hiding. Mr. Gar explains that they were watching through the cameras, prompting Enid and Rad to admit they struggle with keeping secrets. KO revels in the joy of celebrating his birthday with all his friends. Carol is busy preparing a festive Shucksgiving dinner at home, while KO works at Gar's Hero Supply and Bodega, with Enid and Rad for Super Black Friday. Enid puts up a poster advertising a sale for the popular toy, Blorby. KO wonders why Super Black Friday is such a big deal and why they must work on a holiday. Rad gives a passionate speech about how the holiday is great for families but burdensome for workers. Mr. Gar then decides to close the store, encouraging KO, Rad, and Enid to spend the holiday with their loved ones. He heads off to join Carol. As KO, Rad, and Enid try to leave, they find themselves blocked by a crowd of shoppers still waiting for deals. Principal Klaus arrives to celebrate Shucksgiving and offers to teach the bodegamen about the true meaning of the Super Black Friday line by flying above the plaza. While he meets Brandon and Barista Pup, Rad and Enid grow frustrated. Barista Pup serves coffee, while KO enjoys hot cocoa. When they learn the drinks came from Joe Cuppa, they're disgusted, and Principal Klaus insists they learn the true meaning of the line. KO spots Peach, Chillcat, and Gnarlio playing kickyball with Crinkly Wrinkly. Principal Klaus takes the bodegamen to Burrito Beardo, where KO tries Beardo's special seasonal burritos. He loves it but hands it back, realizing he has no money. Principal Klaus explains that the shoppers are his family, celebrating the season with their own traditions, helping the bodegamen understand the true meaning of the holiday. Suddenly, Daryl and Shannon arrive to ruin the festivities. KO prepares to confront them, but Principal Klaus steps in, swiftly defeating the troublemakers. He reminds the bodegamen that they could have welcomed Daryl and Shannon if they had understood the holiday's spirit. As snow begins to fall, the bodegamen open the bodega and prepare for the sale. At 6 p.m., shoppers rush in for Blorbies. KO gets trampled while Enid scans items at lightning speed, and Small One mistakenly tries to put Rad in a Blorby box, confusing him for the toy. The sale concludes with happy customers, and Mr. Gar and Carol enter with Shucksgiving pie, proposing a new tradition of sharing pie at the bodega. They all laugh together while Principal Claus watches through a snow globe, reminding everyone to stay in school with a wink. The heroes of Lakewood begin their day with a hearty breakfast when Point arrives. Foxtail and Elodie announce their takeover of the plaza, claiming control of the Glorb Tree. Carol confronts Foxtail, but her ties to Point are revealed to Mr. Gar, shattering his heart and causing him to revert to a hobo. He leaves the plaza despite Carol's pleas for explanation. Foxtail, satisfied, begins reconstructing the plaza. KO protests and prepares to fight, but as his emotions rise, he nearly transforms into Turbo KO. Carol intervenes, reminding him that it's not yet time to fight. Rad and Enid reassure him they'll support him when the moment arrives. 2 months later, Lakewood is shrouded in darkness, oppressed by Point. The organization is harvesting Glorbs, killing the Glorb Tree. KO, Enid, Rad, Dendy, Brandon, a real magic skeleton, Red Action, Colewort, and others form an underground resistance, led by a more fierce KO, all sporting new, edgier outfits. Dendy discovers blueprints for the plaza from Crinkly Wrinkly, revealing a defense system. KO devises a complex plan involving all his friends, except ARMS and Brandon, who are fine with it. However, upon arriving at the system, KO and Dendy, overseeing operations via a holoscreen, find that the system is non-functional. KO panics, but trips over a giant battery, leading Dendy to realize that the system lacks power. KO suggests avoiding the decrepit battery, but Dendy insists they need a powerful alternative. After a moment of thought, KO calls upon Turbo KO to power up to their perfect KO form. Dendy is thrilled, noting that this is KO's fastest transformation yet. However, as they discuss their strategy, Perfect KO is handcuffed by a Point operative. Turbo KO quickly takes control, knocking off the helmet to reveal Ms. Mummy. KO is shocked as Ms. Mummy apologizes and prepares to open fire. In a swift moment, KO and Turbo KO sync their minds, allowing Perfect KO to incapacitate Ms. Mummy, who flees to report back to Foxtail. Foxtail and Elodie arrive on the scene in their jet. Perfect KO powers up the defense system, awakening Plasmo. Rad and Enid emerge from the hideout, ready to take command as Foxtail and Elodie attack the mech. Despite Plasmo's efforts to fight back, it struggles to break through the Point ship's shields. Foxtail orders Elodie to fire the Disempower Ray, despite her concerns for Enid and Rad, asserting they must do it for the greater good. Just then, Mr. Gar, sporting his elbow mask, and Carol, equipped with elements from her Silver Spark outfit, arrive to disable the shield. The two heroes reconciled, both apologizing for letting things escalate, before launching a joint attack that destroyed the shield. However, the Disempower Ray fired, striking Plasmo. Perfect KO quickly amped up his power, creating a force field that bounced the blast back at the Point ship. Foxtail ordered Elodie to activate the auxiliary shields, but Elodie made a bold decision to open the cockpit, echoing Foxtail's words. Sometimes, sacrifices are necessary for the greater good. The ray blasted them, sending their ship crashing from the sky. On the ground, Foxtail struggled to accept the loss of her powers, feeling responsible for many Point operatives who suffered the same fate. Gar and Carol comforted her, emphasizing that more power isn't the solution, she just needs support. Foxtail apologized for the damage and reconciled with Carol, Gar, and KO. Just then, Boxman appeared to steal the Glorbs but was swiftly shut down by KO and Foxtail. Foxtail praised Elodie for her decision, revealing she had dialed back the power of the ray, only temporarily removing their abilities. Impressed, Foxtail stepped down as Point leader, promoting Elodie to the position. Ecstatic, Elodie vowed to restore individuality to the organization by eliminating strict uniform policies. Gar gathered his workers, commending them and preparing to involve them in secret missions, which excited everyone. Dendy then informed KO that the recent events had allowed his resistance to level up, prompting cheers all around. At Gar's Hero Supply and Bodega, KO eagerly prepares to defend the plaza, while Rad and Enid catch up on sleep after an all-night gaming session. As KO warns them about missing out, legendary hero Sonic the Hedgehog bursts in with his sidekick, Tails. KO is thrilled to meet his childhood hero and proudly shows Sonic his fan art. Impressed, Sonic offers KO the chance to be his new little buddy, causing Tails to worry he might be replaced. Sonic reveals he came for Gar's Bodega's best chili dogs in the multiverse. KO notices Daryl and Jethro's faces on the flyer, just as the robots emerge to kidnap the unconscious Rad and Enid, speeding back to Boxmore. Sonic and Tails agree to help KO rescue his friends after hearing that Lord Boxman resembles their arch-enemy, Dr. Eggman. At Boxmore, Lord Boxman chastises his robots for failing to capture Sonic. He challenges the heroes to dash through a loop-de-loop to rescue Rad and Enid. KO struggles initially, but, encouraged by Tails, visualizes his goal and successfully performs the spin dash through the loop. In the next room, Lord Boxman snatches KO and traps him in a machine powered by the Master Emerald, which he tricked Knuckles into obtaining. The device, called a roboticizer, transforms KO into the robotic Metal K0. Now enhanced with speed and techniques like the spin dash, Metal KO chases Sonic through the factory. Eventually, Metal KO corners Sonic above a large water container, knowing Sonic can't swim. With Tails' help, Sonic gains the upper hand and knocks Metal KO into the water. However, this causes Metal KO to short-circuit and begin sinking. Sonic dives in to break KO free from his robotic shell, but they start to drown. Luckily, Tails rescues them. Although Tails is still upset about Sonic supposedly replacing him with KO, Sonic reassures him that KO is just a good friend, and Tails will always be his ultimate partner. As Lord Boxman plots to crush Rad and Enid, Tails hacks the machine, allowing Sonic to save his friends. They retrieve the Master Emerald and attach it to their plane, the Tornado. Tails apologizes for his jealousy, and Sonic encourages him to stay cool and prepare chili dogs for their next hangout. Before the episode ends, KO realizes he still has a valuable lesson to learn. KO arrives home from school and follows his after-school rules, doing homework, putting his things away, and washing up for his favorite snack, one chocolate chip cookie with a glass of milk. Carol notices how well he follows the rules and trusts him to stay home alone while she runs errands, reminding him to stay out of the construction zone. Tempted by a second cookie, KO resists and decides to visit Turbo KO in his mind. Turbo KO is playing video games and complains about their mom's rules. KO counters that he enjoys school and working at the plaza, feeling lucky to get one cookie. Turbo KO insists they're not just some little kid anymore and, now being level 4, should have the freedom to do what they want. KO trusts Turbo KO to take over while Carol is gone. Turbo KO eagerly breaks the rules, starting with eating multiple cookies and making a mess. Meanwhile, KO plays his video game until a system prompt to update appears. Back in the real world, Turbo KO discovers Carol's rule list and begins to break them one by one. Back in KO's mind, the game update completes but takes longer to install, frustrating KO. In the meantime, he decides to clean Turbo KO's house as a favor, knowing Turbo KO has been nice to him. While KO tidies up, Turbo KO wreaks havoc, trashing the place and letting baby dinosaurs inside. Turbo KO eventually spreads his chaos to the construction zone. As KO nears the end of his cleaning, he pulls a blanket off the KO vision and sees the mess Turbo KO has created in the real world. Angered, KO sends Turbo KO back to his brain. Turbo KO retaliates, causing KO to stub his foot, but KO eventually defeats him. Disappointed, KO scolds Turbo KO for breaking his trust and their mom's rules. Turbo KO tries to justify his actions, but KO insists the rules are there for a reason, even if they seem unfair. When Carol arrives, KO is cleaning up Turbo KO's mess but takes the blame for the cookies. Grateful for KO's honesty, Carol gives him another cookie. Later, KO reluctantly punishes Turbo KO, pushing him down to his subconscious and throwing him his cookie, leaving Turbo KO to break down in tears after KO departs. Carol and KO drive up to the plaza, where Carol hands KO a cupcake. After parting ways, Fink spies on them, complaining to Venomous about how KO sees everything through rose-colored glasses. KO then enters Gar's bodega, chatting with Rad and Enid when a Boxmore box suddenly falls. Confidently, KO insists he can handle it without their help. Fink emerges, mocking KO for being a mommy's boy, before pressing a button that transforms her into Turbo Fink. Just as she prepares to strike KO, she runs out of glorbs, leaving her vulnerable. KO tries to punch Fink, but she whips him with her tail, causing his cupcake to tumble from his pocket. Distracted, KO contemplates asking Carol for another cupcake but starts hallucinating Fink's taunts about being a mommy's boy. He returns to the bodega to take out the trash when a can rolls into the sewers. There, the shadowy figure tries to convince KO to unleash Turbo KO. When KO says Turbo KO is grounded, the shadowy figure encourages him to send glorbs into the sewer. Fink soon reappears, transforming into Turbo Fink again. This time KO channels his anger and demands an apology, but it falls flat. The shadowy figure pushes KO to crank it up with his anger, reminding him to bring glorbs to the sewer. Deciding to confide in Rad and Enid, KO shares his frustrations, and they boost his self-esteem. Together, they blast Turbo Fink with a love beam, defeating her. After the battle, Carol arrives to pick up KO, and they rejoice in their victory. Meanwhile, Fink crashes into Venomous's office, recounting her misadventure. She suggests making cupcakes together, but a suddenly tired Venomous tells her to play with one of her presents and promises to call her if he needs her. Disappointed, Fink flops onto her nest in her room. KO, Rad, and Enid hunt down Daryl at Boxmoor for stealing the doors from Gar's Hero Supply and Bodega. After a chaotic chase, Daryl traps them in a smoke field, leaving them unconscious. When they wake up, they find themselves locked in an isolated room with no way out. They try various escape methods. Rad punches the wall, Enid stomps the floor, and KO talks to the walls, but nothing works. Frustrated, they shift their focus to entertaining themselves. Enid and Rad play KO Kicky Ball, while KO performs comedic impersonations of Crinkly Wrinkly and Mr. Gar. Eventually, they fall asleep. After some time, Enid pretends to serve dinner, and they gaze at the ceiling as if it were filled with clouds. Boredom sets in, prompting them to perform a seance as a last attempt to escape. Enid steps on a tile and is suddenly zapped into goo. In shock, KO accidentally triggers another tile, freezing Rad. Desperate, KO breaks the ice, causing Rad to melt as his scream echoes, reaching the Boxmoor bots hosting a dance party, where Daryl instructs Ernesto to turn up the music. KO leans closer to the goo, puzzled about how Rad turned into it, when he spots a drain and decides to slide into it. He emerges from a pool of goo, finding himself back in the room. The bodegamen regroup, relieved to discover they're alive. They realize that each of them experienced the same nightmare, where only one survives while the others turn to goo. Initially, Enid and Rad suspect Lord Boxman is behind it, but KO deduces it was Professor Venomous. Professor Venomous reveals he extracted their DNA from past battles to create goo clones and torment them mentally. Angered, KO attacks him, but Venomous retaliates by throwing a beaker at Enid and Rad, exposing their goo clone forms. Just then, Enid and Rad emerge from the vents, reassuring KO they're not dead. They engage in battle against Professor Venomous, who eventually gets a migraine and ejects the bodegaman from his office. Landing in the parking lot of Lakewood Plaza Turbo, KO declares his hatred for Professor Venomous. To confirm they're not clones, he pelts Rad and Enid with rocks, causing them to run away. After Turbo KO destroys the POW card factory, a fighting tournament is announced at the plaza to help restore everyone's power levels. Meanwhile, KO, trapped in his subconscious, is determined to regain control. When shadowy Venomous threatens to destroy the world, Rad and Enid enter the tournament stadium for a final stand. Turbo KO swiftly defeats both Enid and Rad, showcasing his newfound strength. After the battle, they encounter Fink, who informs them about the Turbo Collars. Although Rad and Enid are skeptical, they accept the collars and prepare for their next fight, which features the debut of Trad and Tenid. As the fight continues, Turbo KO begins to lose power. Shadowy Venomous finds the Lakewood tree and brings it to the surface, enhancing Turbo KO's strength. Fueled by the energy from the Glorbs, Turbo KO becomes even more formidable, leading to Trad and Tenid being knocked out of the ring. Meanwhile, Boxman, the Boxmoor bots, and Dendy attempt to fight Turbo KO, but are easily launched into the sun, failing to stop him. With Turbo KO now empowered, Shadowy Venomous reveals he was merely using him for his abilities, igniting Turbo KO's rage. In a fit of anger, Turbo KO turns on Venomous, unleashing chaos on the plaza. Meanwhile, KO navigates his subconscious and discovers Turbo KO's house, unearthing a secret box buried in the sandbox. Inside, he finds an old tape recorder from his childhood and cranks it to maximum volume. As Turbo KO rampages, he defeats Fink and Venomous before turning his powers on Enid, Rad, Carol, and Gar, leaving them defeated. The escalating music fuels Turbo KO's fury. After wreaking havoc, Turbo KO retreats back to the mindscape, where the song finally ends. KO rushes to Turbo KO, embracing him. They have a heartfelt conversation and realize that Turbo KO isn't a separate entity. He is part of KO, and vice versa. Their understanding leads to a fusion, creating MKO, who awakens to find the plaza in ruins. Suddenly, the president of the universe appears, declaring KO the tournament's winner and granting him a wish. KO wishes for everyone to live their best life. Instantly, the plaza is restored, and all the heroes return, celebrating their victory together. KO relishes this moment, continuing to live his best life surrounded by friends. KO mops the floor at Gar's bodega, feeling a sense of loss for missing out on a recent hero mission. Rad and Enid walk in, reassuring him that they'll be together next time. Suddenly, time begins to skip erratically. KO experiences deja vu as Rad and Enid enter the bodega again, this time reminding him he was there all along. A box bot from Boxmore crashes in, but as the time skips, KO grows increasingly confused. He finds himself battling a series of foes, Daryl and Shannon, then Raymond and Michaela, followed by Ernesto, Death Row, and Wally the White. With each encounter, KO realizes time is rushing ahead, and he is determined to confront the villain responsible. After an intense series of fights, KO finally faces Lord Boxman. However, upon defeating him, KO understands that this isn't a problem to be solved with brute force. As time continues to leap forward, Enid departs for Witch College, and Rad leaves to lead the Planet X Space Force. Ultimately, KO finds himself at Mr. Gar and Carol's wedding, witnessing the love shared between friends and realizing the importance of cherishing moments, even as time moves on. KO feels overwhelmed by how quickly life is passing him by, fearing he isn't ready for it to end. As he enters the bodega, he discovers it transformed into a movie theater, showcasing clips from his past adventures. In that moment, KO realizes that the rapid passage of time isn't due to a villain's scheme, but rather a natural part of growing up. A heartfelt montage begins, depicting the future lives of KO and his friends, fast-forwarding through the years until KO reaches 35 plus. Each frame highlights their journeys, dreams, and friendships, encapsulating the bittersweet nature of change. As the montage concludes, a new boxbot arrives at the plaza, signaling a shift in their world. In a surprising twist, KO has become the owner of Gar's bodega, affectionately referred to as Mr. KO by his new employees. As the scene unfolds, the end credits song plays, filling the air with nostalgia. KO looks into the camera, a warm smile on his face, and delivers the series' final line, "Thank you for watching the show." With that, the screen fades, leaving behind a legacy of laughter, friendship, and growth. In the aftermath of the whirlwind adventures, Enid goes on a new journey, leaving the bodega in her witch school uniform to attend Witch College. She eventually returns with newfound wisdom and passion, taking ownership of the fitness dojo alongside her partner, Red Action. Rad steps away from the bodega to lead the Planet X Space Force. After his heroic journey, he returns home as a decorated war hero and opens a whimsical cat-themed cafe named Don't Talk to Me Till I've Had My Coffee and Petted a Cat, bringing joy to all cat lovers. Carol and Mr. Gar celebrate their love by tying the knot. Mr. Gar also takes a poignant trip back to his hometown, honoring the memory of his late grandmother, who once ran Abuela Garcia's bodega. Meanwhile, Nick, Army, and Joff leave on their own adventure and get married, while Potato and Colewort also join in on the wedding festivities. Ernesto, Jethro, and Michaela step up to inherit Boxmoor from Lord Boxman, ready to take on the challenges ahead. Daryl, finding his passion for agriculture, opens a farm called Daryl Acres, where he cultivates his dreams. In a twist of magic, a real magic skeleton becomes the new owner of iFrame Outlet, with Brandon continuing to lend his expertise. Big Bull Demon and Small Calf Demon dive into the music scene, finding success as musicians. In a hilarious turn of events, Billiam Milliam and his henchmen purchase the moon, only to be devoured by Cosma, who takes off into the cosmos, moon, and all. Big Teeth matures but remains the friendly giant everyone loves. Lastly, Shannon lands her own spin-off talk show titled Impress Me, where her duplicates form the lively audience while Raymond and his duplicates jam as the house band called Ray and the Mons, filling the air with laughter and music. Joe Cuppa continues his not-so-funny coffee-themed stand-up routine, but his luck takes a turn when he gets whacked with a burning mallet during an appearance on Shannon's show, much to the audience's delight. Beardo finds joy in reuniting with his brother, Weirdo, as they hit the road together, serving delicious meals from their food truck, spreading happiness one dish at a time. A new twist in the supernatural arises with a demonic squeezo that appears whenever someone utters the phrase, "Don't squeeze, don't squeeze, don't squeeze the squeezo," in front of a mirror, adding an element of chaos to the lives of those who dare to say it. Professor Venomous and Lord Boxman reconnect and tie the knot, with their wedding rings clearly visible when Boxman gets his hair cut by Mr. Logic, while Professor Venomous cheers on Fink at the video's game tournament. Meanwhile, Mr. Cardsley finds himself suffering in the afterlife, tormented by Spanky and Cruddy, a fitting punishment for his past misdeeds. The remaining members of Point retire from their duties at the academy and enjoy a peaceful day at the beach, soaking in the sun and relaxation. Combo Breaker successfully enrolls in Point Prep, now managed by Bicky, Elodie, and Percival, setting the stage for new adventures and friendships. Mr. Logic continues to run logic cuts and mends his relationship with Boxman, proving that even the most complex dynamics can find a resolution. Purd embraces family life, starting his own family and nurturing the next generation. Chameleon Jr. grows out of his spoiled phase, launching a youth program called Corn Again that promotes community involvement and healthy eating. Fink rises to fame as a professional video game player, defeating her latest challenger and winning a substantial cash prize, cheered on by her adoring fans and a proud Professor Venomous in the crowd. Gertie and Gladys go through a grieving period over Ginger's presumed death until Ginger surprises everyone by revealing that she's very much alive. Dendy shines as the valedictorian of her class and takes the helm as the new CEO of POW Card Industries, ready to lead the company into a new era. Finally, KO grows into his role as the new boss of Gar's Bodega, succeeding Mr. Gar and achieving the rank of level 100 hero. He continues to protect the plaza from Boxmoor's relentless robots, with his new employees resembling Enid and Rad, ensuring that the spirit of teamwork and friendship endures in the bodega. So that will be it from us. If you enjoyed the video, let us know which character was your favorite. Also, do not forget to leave us a like and subscribe to our channel for similar content. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at the next one.